In all my years of receiving health and safety training and all the courses that I've completed, NEBOSH certificates, NEBOSH diplomas, Bachelor of Sciences with honours, I was never taught this simple thing. Trying to impose your will, trying to impose your system, your ideas onto other people tends to lead to resistance in some way or another. Sometimes this resistance may manifest itself as just a simple disagreement. People just say, no, I disagree. But at times, I found that people might seem to agree with you, might temporarily agree with you, they might nod along, but then later they don't do what they've agreed to do, or they don't follow the rule, or they don't complete the project. As soon as you're out of sight and out of mind, they just don't do it. I've been in many a manager meeting where someone will agree to take on an action and then later on they just seem to ignore the action, and then it might take 6 months of nudging and nudging and nudging. They seem to agree, but they don't really agree. In extreme cases, you try to get people to do stuff and they actually sabotage things. They sabotage things out of a resentment. Where does the resentment come from? You tried to force them to do something they didn't want to do.
They want me to spy on the Chancellor. That's treason.
We are at war, Anakin.
They probably expressed a disagreement. They probably tried to argue, but you didn't listen.
You're asking me to do something against the Jedi Code.
There is a better way, and I've learned this lesson at my own expense after many years of attempting to force people to comply with my ideas, and that never got me very far. What are the best ways to encourage compliance with safety rules without using force? A good way to motivate people and get their commitment is to seek their opinions, is to involve them in safety discussions. And so we study this on the NEBOSH General Certificate. We study consultation with employees and the benefits of involving people and consulting and asking questions and so on. But here's the thing. You should try to give people as much freedom as possible to make decisions that affect them. Certainly give them the freedom to choose. And you'll find they'll be a lot more cooperative. Now, in the context of health and safety, one effective strategy is just to encourage them to commit to a broad objective. So let's say a broad objective might be, let's make things safer. Now that's very difficult to disagree with, isn't it? Most people are likely to agree that they want to make things safer. So you get their agreement at that broad objective first. We call this chunking it up. Don't get lost in the details of the safety initiatives. Just first of all, get agreement that safety is important. The workplace could be safer than it is. And you might have your own ideas on how exactly it's going to be made safer, but it is crucial that you involve the team in the decisions. Why? Because when people make their own decisions as to how to make things safer or what safety rules should be in place, those people take ownership of it. Ownership, these are their rules. So they take more ownership without feeling that the rules are being forced upon them. So you could ask your team questions like this. So now that we've agreed that the workplace could be safer, what suggestions do you have on simple things we can do to make this workplace safer? How do you think we could improve safety? What's stopping us from being healthier and safer? What do you think are the key risks that we all need to address here? What actions do you think we could take over the next, say, 30 days to 6 months to make everyone here safer, healthier, and just feel more well? And more importantly, what are the steps that you are willing to take? That's a good question. It's not just what could we do, it's like, what are you willing to do? What steps could we take over the next 30 days? Not could we take, what are you willing to do over the next 30 days which could make everyone here safer? The issue with all of this is that their ideas might not be the same as your ideas. And you, if you're anything like me, you think your ideas are better because you're the safety person. You've got experience, you've got knowledge, you've got qualifications, you've done tons of courses. So you think you know how to do health and safety better than everybody else.
I have the high ground!
It's important that you set your ego, set it aside, because ultimately, if they do not agree with or if they just cannot implement your ideas, they are not going to follow through. You might have the best idea, but if they disagree with it, they are not going to do it.
I don't believe that.
See, the best idea really isn't your idea. The best idea is the idea that can be implemented and sustained, delivering results over the long term. See, your idea might be great, but it's not the best idea if no one's willing to do it, or if they're not willing to do it in the long term. And if they're not willing to do it, then it's not going to deliver any results. So that idea is just going to be sat there waiting. But a better idea is to do something that they are willing to do sustainably over the long term, and which actually does result in people being safer. So park your idea and let them pursue what they believe is best. Now, there are limits to this approach, of course. Now, if there is a legal breach, a violation of the law, then you can't just allow them to do whatever they want. If there's a serious and imminent danger and their idea allows that danger to continue, you can't just let them to do that. Right? But the principle is this: give them as much freedom as possible to implement the strategies and ideas that they believe work best. Try not to force the safety rules on them. Allowing them to make their own decisions will lead to greater ownership, and it will make it their project rather than yours. What comes next? Cool thing is this: they implement their ideas and they get the good result. What you can do then is pat them on the back and tell everybody else what a fantastic job they did. Wasn't you? You saw it was Bill's idea, Sheila's idea, Susan's idea. Look at the result it's done. Makes them feel really good about it. It's a little bit like Pavlov's dogs, isn't it? They just get fed the reward there. People absolutely love it when they have an idea, it's implemented, it delivers a result, and everyone recognizes what a fabulous idea that was. And you know what will happen? They are likely to do it again and again and again. And everybody else will see that person and think, oh, I'd like to get praise like that. I'd like to introduce a good idea like that. Now, let's assume that their idea is not as good as your idea.
Doing precisely what we've done 18 times before is exactly the last thing they'll expect us to do this time.
They've implemented something which is only half what you wanted. It's still, the risk hasn't been lowered to your satisfaction.
One small problem.
That everyone always gets slaughtered in the first 10 seconds.
That's right.
What do? Do you just accept it? Like, no. You accept it for now. You let them get used to it. But now that it's been 6 months or a year since that initiative was implemented, you can follow up and ask some further questions. So now that things are safer, what more do you think we could do to make this task even safer than it already is? What further improvements do you think we could introduce here to make it even safer? Okay, so we seem to have solved that problem, but what other risks are still here which we could reduce even further? So now that we've got that under control, we've got this other issue here. Do you agree that that is also a risk? Yes, that over there. What would you be willing to do to reduce the risk of that? Now, this is essentially just incremental change. Incremental small changes. You accept their idea, you allow them to implement it, and then you ask them again. You accept their new idea and you allow them to implement it. And gradually you're making small adjustments over time. And in essence, it's also a form of coaching.
God, it's a barren, featureless desert out there, isn't it?
The other side, sir.
Coaching where you ask people, what's the problem? What do you think you can do? And then you just let them get on do it. So in conclusion, remember this key lesson. Force breeds resistance. If people disagree with your safety rules, give them as much freedom as possible to make their own decisions regarding the matters which affect them. Forcing safety rules upon them will only backfire. Now, if you want to learn more about all of this, if you've enjoyed this video, then you should really check out our CPD certified Managing People Effectively course. It's a course which will teach you how to manage people more effectively. The clue's in the title of the course. And that'll teach you all about having conversations which result in people being more cooperative, more motivated, more inspired to do things more safely. Best of luck.